themselves alone. It will never change. They are unable to tell the truth. They cannot do it. For whatever fucking reason, they cannot do it. They either cannot or will not. From this reporting alone, they're taking the closures and they're taking the admittal from the Competition and Market Authority report that the reason why shit is bad is, guys, it's still the COVID numbers. It's still the COVID numbers. COVID made people think that the bubble wouldn't burst, and now the bubble did burst. You're overcorrecting for the COVID bubble. Maybe it's not the fucking COVID bubble. What the fuck does this have to do with COVID? It's the games, stupid! It's the shit games! It's the shit games. It's the shit propaganda. It's the shit proselytization. It's the political proselytization. It's the escapism. You ruined the escapisms. But now, you don't want to say, you know what? Maybe the chuds were right. That's the problem. That's the real issue. Right there, in black and white. You don't want to say, God damn, the chuds were right. Because if you say the chuds are right, then that means you were always wrong the entire time, and you could have course corrected before this happened. How many times did we warn you? Oh, you didn't give a fuck. Ah, they're chuds. Man, you didn't touch a woman. Go outside and touch grass. Now look where we are. I got kid booties on my desk, and your games are still trash! Wojak that shit. Put me right next to ass. Paint me like one of your French Wojaks. McDonald's has released a Dragon Ball collab with deep-fried Dragon Balls, Bulma fries, and Piccolo soda. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'll have it your way, Kakarot. Hi, I'm Goku. Give me your fries, Frieza. No, monkey, they're my fries. And you can't have my with W sauce either. What the fuck is a deep fried Dragon Ball? Oh my god! Oh. Now, it's a Daima presentation, although they happen to use pictures from Super here, but it's a Daima promotion. It's a Daima promotion. I still want to know what a deep fried Dragon Ball is, though. And that's only for Hong Kong. That's not fair. Power and Dragon Balls. I want to chew them Dragon Balls. It's ignorant. It's ignorant. It's ignorant, but it's funny. Why can't we have good things in America? I want to have fun. Oh, lovely, lovely. Another piece of news. Live from IGN. With more and more studios closing, original IPs being scrapped mid-development, and numerous layoffs, a smaller scale and more creative approach may be the only way for the games industry to survive. Now let's just go ahead and take that link, and then I'm going to throw that into my thing, and I'm not going to give you motherfuckers the clicks, because fuck every single standard that you have. And we're going to copy that link address, and go to here, and then go to here, and we're going to search the archive. Not there. That's fine. We're going to take this archive link, and we're going to fuck that, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and give me that link. Ha ha ha. So this motherfucker on screen. The blockbuster games bubble has burst. The video games industry is currently in the straits of a paradox. Zoom in. There we go. Make it easier for the people in the chat to read. Video games industry is currently in the thralls of a paradox. For players, it could be argued that we're in one of the greatest times for gaming and that there's an incredible breadth of choices across consoles, handhelds, and PCs, ever made more accessible through gaming subscriptions services such as Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. From an industry perspective, things cannot be more dire, with more and more studios seemingly closing, original IPs being scrapped in development, and vast legions of game developers, programmers, and artists being cut loose. Put simply, the AAA bubble has finally burst. What's that? What's that, Sam Axley? Are the chuds right now? Are the chuds allowed to be correct about the opinion that they've been saying for fucking years on end, multiple times? Are the chuds right? Are they allowed to have their opinions finally validated and understood? Is it finally time? Will he finally fucking listen? No. They're still chuds. No. They gotta listen to chat. They're still chuds. They're still chuds. No. They're still chuds. They have to be still chuds. If we don't remain chuds, they're not making money. No. Can't be. Thank you, Smoky Fever. No. Can't be. No. Can't possibly be. Alright, change that over. The video game industry is currently in the thralls of a paradox for players, blah 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 blah. Across past 2 years, over 23,000 jobs in the video game industry being lost, with Sacktory 6K in January 2024 alone. Over 30 video game development studios ceasing operations, including Arcane Austin, Volition, and most recently Firewalk Studios. What's worse, the trend only shows signs of continuing rather than diminishing. How did we get here? I don't know, IGN. How did we get here? You have any wonderful suggestions? Perhaps anything to do with this bullshit that's currently being done by Jeff Keighley. I don't know. It must be one of them. Possibly. Maybe. Kinda sorta. It has to be one of them, right? Trying to copyright the name Games Art Studio and Game Awards while trying to still pad it with pedigree? I don't know. Might be a little bit contemptuous. Yeah. Some analysts have concluded these closures and redundancies are necessary remedy to companies having overextended themselves. Oh, we're going with that cope. Okay. Who have overextended themselves in a response to inflated demand during the market during COVID-19 pandemic. While undeniably a factor, I think the truth lies in the longer gestating issues with the AAA bubble. Just 5 years ago, AAA projects budgeting in the range of 50 to 150 million, with the minimum average being 200 million. Call of Duty's new benchmark being 300 million, with Activision admitting inside the Competition and Marketing Authority report on AAA development that it takes the effort of 1.5 studios to complete the annual Call of Duty title. Meaning, Arcane ain't never coming out of there, 343 ain't never coming out of there, Treyarch ain't never coming out of there, Raven Software ain't never coming out of there. They are stuck in the COD mines. They will never make a title of their own again. They will never do anything that is not this. You are locked in, stolen, capsized. Call of Duty 7 will require you to have at least 2 studios working on it at the same time because the bloat is here and real. And we're still lying and saying it's based on COVID numbers. Hard lock-in. It will never change. It will never change. This is confirmation proof from themselves alone. It will never change. They are unable to tell the truth. They cannot do it. For whatever fucking reason, they cannot do it. They either cannot or will not. From this reporting alone, they're taking the closures and they're taking the admittal from the Competition and Market Authority report that the reason why shit is bad is, guys, it's still the COVID numbers. It's still the COVID numbers. COVID made people think that the bubble wouldn't burst, and now the bubble did burst. You're overcorrecting for the COVID bubble. Maybe it's not the fucking COVID bubble. Because Arcane Austin, Volition, and Firewalk Studios died outside of the COVID demand bubble. They had an entire opportunity, release, launch date, and then collapsing that happened. And it kind of coincided. I forgot to make sure the sheet got my son's socks. It coincided with bad titles going tits up. So what the fuck does this have to do with COVID? It's the games, stupid! It's the shit games! It's the shit games. It's the shit propaganda. It's the shit proselytization. It's the political proselytization. It's the escapism. You ruined the escapisms. But now, you don't want to say, you know what? Maybe the Chuds were right. That's the problem. That's the real issue. Right there, in black and white. You don't want to say, God damn, the Chuds were right. Because if you say the Chuds are right, then that means you were always wrong the entire time, and you could have course corrected before this happened. How many times did we warn you? Oh, you didn't give a fuck. Ah, they're Chuds. Man, you didn't touch a woman. Go outside and touch grass. Now look where we are. I got kid booties on my desk, and your games are still trash! Wojak that shit. Put me right next to ass. Paint me like one of your French Wojaks. Ugh! 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 Make it make sense! So fucking embarrassing. It's so fucking embarrassing and repugnant. How many times can you guys be told the same words, both from the market record experts, as well as the people who you antagonize, who make your fucking industry possible? So fucking ridiculous. So fucking ridiculous. Moving on. Just far from Call of Duty's facing ballooning costs, in the same CMA report, an anonymous publisher, costs for its franchises reached $660 million, with $550 million for marketing on top of the cost. That's a $1.2 billion game. $1.2 billion game in a marketplace industry where the most famous game in existence, Minecraft, only has $3 billion. But the market share value for the majority of games are always somewhere underneath, within 200 to 300 to 400 to 500 to 600 million, and sometimes ballooning above that, not accounting for the amount of work put into marketing the game itself, instead of it being found out by word of mouth, like that of Balatro. Those are much smaller and much lower dividends. Those are usually in the 100 to 200 million, but usually more than enough to make the overhead back, especially considering how cheap they can be and how effective they can be. But everybody can't be Balatro. Everybody can't be a random Metroidvania like that of Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 1 and 2. Not everybody can be able to achieve that. Not everybody can be the twin-stick shooter of Dead Cells. Not everybody can be the tie-ins of things like Slay the Spire and... what's the other one? Slay the Spire 2, Vault of the Void, Rogue Book. Not everybody can be all those other campaign deck-building roguelikes that were or were not featured during SEA. It's so abysmal that you then say an anonymous seller, because I know who the fuck it is. I'm pretty sure we all know what it is. But for funny reasons, let's not say the name just yet. Let's not say the name. It'll make it funnier a week from now. The realities of these budgets mean the entire publishing houses are massively overstretched and now desperately facing the consequences. If their developers' huge projects don't make money immediately, they must die. With Sega's sci-fi shooter game Hyenas being in development at Creative Assembly for 7 years, before being publicly playable for alpha testing and then being cancelled. With the fact that Sega preemptively concluded that Hyenas could not make back its money. Blizzard's survival project Odyssey had a similar trajectory, Odyssey being the first new IP in 8 years, and given the love for the games like Minecraft and Rust, such a gaming titan being undoubtedly doing this would make waves with the project. When Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard, the first thing that ABKM did was to swiftly kill the project, with little reason publicly given beyond inconveniences and switching engines to increase player count on the servers, which doesn't fucking make sense because you already released Diablo 4. That means the engineering and the marketing and the tools for the engine is there because it's inside of the internal system of Battle.net. You're not making an outside system, you're making a system for it to be playable on other platforms. And considering that you've already released Diablo 2 Resurrected for Switch, there's no world that you can justify saying, actually, it's impossible for us to do it. No, it's not impossible. It's actually completely possible. It's not only completely possible, it's completely nominal. It's completely nominal. The only thing that would be impossible about this standard is that you're facing some kind of standard that you implied upon yourself for marketing purposes. And there's none. Nothing should be stopping you. What other thing are you working on? You haven't had business since the fucking mergers with King and Activision to create Activision Blizzard. You've been nothing but a Call of Duty modification. And then for those who are playing on top of Activision Blizzard, Crash Bandicoot 4. How are those server lags? Error 86 sends its regards. But no, what the fuck do you mean? That's not real. That's not real. We know the reason why. They killed the product because they couldn't make their money back on it. They killed the product because they knew that if they tried to make the product with how much they needed to make and how much they actually get from support, it wouldn't possible. It wouldn't be possible. Because Last Epoch already ate your fucking dinner. They already ate your dinner. Last Epoch ate your dinner. People right now are going back and forth between Necro Settlers and waiting in preparation for Path of Exile 2's early launch in December now, instead of in early November. They're waiting for next content for PoE 1 next year. They're also waiting for Monster Hunter Wilds in February. You didn't have the ability to make back that money with the amount of people who are currently playing the game right now, knowing that you're not making money off those people who have already paid for Diablo Resurrected, and the people who could potentially continue to pay for Diablo Resurrected, and would pay again for NSO on Switch for Diablo Resurrected, let alone buying new copies, new instances, and updates for Vessel of Hatred for Diablo 4. You know for a fact that they're not playing. You know that they won't buy in, so you killed it. That's the actual honest answer. And it's easy to follow when you actually follow the news of it. Because when's the last time you heard about Activision Blizzard before the loss and before the merger and then before the hostile takeover after Bobby Kotick flew away with his golden parachute? The current AAA publishing call reflects a deep-rooted fear to engage with anything new and original. Yes! True! These examples of current AAA publishing reflect the deep fear. But even for well-known IP that could be worth millions in sales revenue and being left to rot, despite owning infamous Jak and Daxter, Killzone, Resistance, and Sly Cooper to name a few entities in PlayStation's sprawling dormant library, CFO Hiroki Totoki. Sony CFO Hiro Totoki recently claimed that the company's lack of original IP to consolidate itself as a true gaming powerhouse. Meaning that the older catalog of IP does not fit the mold of what has been mindlessly chased for the better part of the decade, which is the big live service money printer, which is bizarre and weird, because I can think of at least 3 different ideas that had already been tried in live service for online servers for them, even though I would have considered them single-player games. Fucking Ratchet & Clank Deadlocked had a fucking online capability feature. Fucking Jack X Racing, bro. Another fucking title of fucking Crash Team Racing released again. I'm pretty sure that was the other project that Bavarious Games was working on after they finished the Insane trilogy, after they were done working on the Spyro Reignited trilogy. Like, party games have made a serious return and increase because people want real engaging party games that are fun for their audiences to play. Like, they definitely have been looking for that. And you've got Jak and Daxter, you've got Sly Cooper right there in your fucking hand. Like, Ratchet and Clank's right there too. What do you fucking mean? Like, fuck All-Stars. Fuck PlayStation All-Stars for Battle Royale. Just make party games in those 3 universes. Easy! Done! The sheer opportunity to make a Mario Party out of Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and Sly Cooper is beyond in the fucking bag for you. Why aren't you doing it? Killzone, a little bit harder. Infamous, you can make a return, but you'd have to do it right. And you'd have to get a good writer. But no, you have the ability to do it. You're scared. And it seems that the article writer agrees with me. The next big live service money printer. It's difficult to imagine fanfare for a Sly Cooper reboot where Bentley and Murray are purchased to play, Grand Heists are season pass bonuses, and worlds are delivered half-baked instead of fully formed. It's undeniable that at some level, the video game market has changed forever because of the live service model, with new video games not just competing with new rivals, but somehow to find space in an increasingly crowded market dominated by decade-old titles like Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto Online, games which continue to hold high player counts that many of the top sold games have had the last few years. The live service titles requiring investment not only of money, but of time to find their audience, none of which was afforded to Firewalk Studios' Concord. Well, see, the problem with Firewalk Studios and Concord is that motherfuckers had a $400 million project on the line that had to get fucking collapsed and dumpstered because they just couldn't find the audience to make it possible. It's a mathematical problem. It wasn't killed. Concord was stillborn. It never had the ability to hit critical mass, and it would have never had the ability to hit critical mass. You would have been operating at a loss for at least a year and a half before you had enough people that are willing to drag on, because it's another game in the market that you could have had. Blah. The recent face of Concord serves as a microcosm of the increasingly bleak outlook for the next few years in video game development. Concord was Firewalk's first baby, its baby in its many ways, an 8-year development bolstered by Sony's acquisition with a reported additional cash injection of $200 million plus. Oh, it's $200 million plus now. You don't want to cape to the whole $400. It's $200 plus. Okay. PlayStation reportedly believed that it had the next Star Wars X franchise on its hand, but the game struggled significantly across both beta testing and period launch and was soon completely shut down by Sony, with Firewalk closed for business shortly after. Concord's downfall happening faster than any other failed game in the live service era. Before that, the similarly disaster of Error 37 in Blizzard's Diablo 3, making the game unplayable, as the players decried the absolute failure of the launch, with the real money auction house leaving players with a foul taste in their mouth, and Diablo 3's reputation roasting in the fires. But then rather than abandoning it, they repaired the game with 2.1, removing the auction house, and then evolving it to 2.0 with Reapers of Souls, making a comeback, with a similar story seen in the case of CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077. No. 77 was a love letter that was saved and salvaged by edgerunners. The same way that Arcane is a fucking groveling apology begging people to log in to League of Legends to be tortured in matches because, bro, don't you want to play Ambessa, the new broken top laner, mid laner, support, and jungler that can 0 to 100 solo people with 17 dashes and a kit of HP? And the answer is probably maybe. Ironically enough, maybe. Maybe they could get away with doing it. Hello. It's a whole entire process that goes around the thought process of it, because you're asking a lot of things. You're asking for a lot of fucking things to get the opinion over the margin. And the problem with the margin in this question is that you're saying, well guys, it's just like when Diablo 2 was made better. It's just like when Diablo 3 was made better. It's just like when Diablo 4 was made better. It's just like when CD Projekt Red was made better. It's just like when No Man's Sky was made better. No! They earned it! They had to work for it! And in Project Red's case, it's not that you fixed the game. It's that the game was made finally playable. Fixing the game implies that they had a stable game to begin with, and they didn't. Barely functional would be the argument I'd use. And then edgerunners made people have a reason to be reinvigorated in playing it and understanding it because they had a reason to care because of the stories and the characters. There are more people playing to be able to serve justice to Atom Smasher on the behalf of that lead character than anything fucking else. So, when you make those comparisons, you have to accept that in Diablo 3's case, yes, they had to salvage it doing that. Because the Paragon system was broken, and the only way to get legendary items was to be full level Paragon. You had to farm a level 1 zone in the same area in Act 1, because it was the best one with the best mob pack density that would be best for group clearing. You took those items, you put them on the real money auction house and the gold money auction house. You're able to get some level of earning from it. People were making unironically real levels of money doing the exact same thing that the Diablo 2 storehouses intended to do in the yesteryear, which no longer is a problem in the case bases of these games, but still had the same consequences being visited upon them, because how the fuck are they able to compete and compare for the shit that they have to work towards, let alone the small miniature suboptimal dungeons that they're going to have to fight through. Changing that gameplay, that was a requirement. Because Error 37 and Error 87 were the ones that were locking people out of logging into the game because too many people were logging into the game at the same time, and people getting disconnected in the server in the middle of a gameplay. Literally fucking crashing their games. So in the middle of an instance at the highest tier of content where you were finally able to get a slot into or finally got able to place into an event opportunity, you're getting fucked because you're doing the same campaign content over again. And can't go anywhere inside adventure mode that mattered. Especially not until the involvement of the bounty system. And then, with the introduction of adventure mode, no longer needing to go through the campaign in order to get to that content. You could just start level 1 and just go from there. Play the game in an open world. And then they built upon that and built upon that. And now every January you have the Harrowing inside of Tristram. And then from there, you have the additional side content and the additional extra worlds added. The Cube of Kanai to bring back the Horadric Cube at the ruins of Secheron. All of these things were changes that were done with improvements. What happens for these games is they're failing before they even have day 1 release. They're dying in beta. They're dying in alpha. You can't make these games better without improving its conversation. And the only way to improve the conversation on these games is for you guys to stop doing this bullshit you've been doing. But I see we're still not taking accountability. If the alleged $200 million plus budget was lowered, the project's direction refocuses across for a new universe rather than a big bang, it isn't even hard that Concord could have found an audience with some Blizzard or CBR red like shepherding from Sony. Many projects akin to Concord could be the medium size that they deserve to be, but not for the kind of corners these publishers have found themselves backed into. If everything is bigger than Boulder, who possibly has time to play more than 1 or 2 games each year? Good argument. Good argument. Depends if it's worth my time. That's the short answer to the title. Next, it's financial corners, blah, 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 blah. Are you guys to the end of the article? Yes, we are. Not such financial corners and anything publishers should always attempt to navigate. Gamers are beginning to wane interest in these monolithic projects. You only need to look at the top-rated games of 2024, or 2023 award lists were littered with AAA titles from 500 strong studios. 2024 shows a revitalized hunger for smaller, independent spirit. Arcade machine throwbacks like UFO 50, Metroidvania-esque Animal Well, Poker Low Rack Balatro, Ayo! Text-based pixel art, The Crimson Diamond, are just some games you appear seeing again and again on these lists. Despite numerous differences, they share a commonality: smaller, more refined experiences that recall earlier eras of gaming, where marriages of mechanics and storytelling were key throughout the technological craftiness rather than in literal country-sized game worlds. The nostalgia they create for older games and generations are central to the heart of the creation. They want you to pick them up and have a good time now and again. The slow but increasingly clear pivot of video game audience to potential indie game renaissances is a clear message to publishers that if everything is bigger than Boulder, who has time for all your bullshit? Not to undercut the difficulty of getting those independent titles in, of course. Do some lip service. UFO 50's Mossmouth LLC consists of 6 developers working over many years, with Animal Well and Crimson Diamond sharing similar stories being crafted by solo developers, Billy Basso and Yulia Minamata, respectively, over several years. Even a smash hit like Lethal Company started as a one-man band developer, Zekrees, learning how to develop games on Roblox before expanding his knowledge. All of these developers put everything they had into several years of lives creating the games, not in pursuit of money, but in pursuit of passion, which is why they don't need humongous worlds, 300 plus side quests to take off. The games all feel like learned, enjoyable machines. It feels like the top end of the video game industry is currently faced with 2 paths to choose from. One path, the status quo, the other path being based. The first is the status quo. It can continue to engorge on bigger budgets but impossibly open yet incredibly empty worlds full of 80 plus hours of content that has 10 hours of meaning to the players. No, that's not what they feature. That's not what they tell them as. They feature them as live service games, meaning it's infinite content for hundreds and hundreds of hours of content, like the first Descendant. Or Hopelessly Pursued live service train, which left the station over 5 years ago with late passengers running when money isn't rolling in anymore. Billion-dollar gambles could pay off, but it's becoming less and less likely, or they could opt for the second path and take out a page from Julia Menonada, Billy Basso, and Zacharias books, with a wider breadth of projects, smaller in scope and scale with a refined progress on game mechanics, and perhaps a return to older styles of video games long dormant. Projects where the developers aren't afraid to take weirder choices and unexpected turns once they crash into a 400... there we go! Yeah, there we go! They kept to it! Finally! $400 million ship crash into a mixed and decent initial reception. Maybe studios can remember we used to play video games because they were fun, not because they had FOMO. That's what you should have wrote. Not because they're bigger than last year's maps carpeted by denser, higher resolution grass that you could walk across to fish in another piece of side content that pushes you one digit closer to 100% completion. Well done. Well done. Yes. Well done. Thank you. Ultimately, an embarrassment for everyone involved. Everyone should be sad. Everyone should be sad. Because how the fuck did you get here? And how did you not fix the path before getting there and continuing to get there? Abysmal. 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 Now let's go check in on my friend, Fizz.